Being joined by Ruthie Bloom, who is the former advisor for the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I want to begin by asking you, of course, you understand the inner workings very well here. I wanted to understand, how do you assess this ultimatum?
First of all, thanks for having me. Well, I'd like to start off by saying that the poll you cited is just one. There's another poll out that shows a very different result. But what the one you showed illustrates is that Benny Gantz, thinking that if there were elections now, he would become prime minister, has every interest in going on television and issuing this ultimatum. But this won't topple the government. Even if he makes good on his threat, the government won't fall because of that, because Benny Gantz is an addition to an already majority government.
All right, ma'am, I just want to understand, at a time when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure not just from his allies but also from within Israel, as we've seen, there have been massive protests as well. Do you think this would have no bearing going forward?
Well, you know, it's interesting because there are protests. I'm not sure how massive they are. Actually, there were about 5,000 people at the last night's protest. And the majority of the soldiers in the field don't feel this way at all. In fact, they're very, very anxious to topple Hamas so that we can get on with the business of toppling, not toppling, but moving Hezbollah far back into Lebanon so that it cannot pose a continued threat as it has been doing with its massive missile attacks. Now, it's not true that Netanyahu doesn't have a strategy. Most of what Benny Gantz said in his press conference was actually false. Netanyahu has prioritized the return of the hostages, and he wants victory over Hamas. Now, that doesn't mean killing every last terrorist. It's impossible to do that, but to remove Hamas from power. And Benny Gantz is jumping the gun. What happens the day after the war will depend on the outcome of the war. You don't do that first. Benny Gantz is putting the cart before the horse.
All right, ma'am. But at a time, as you of course know, there were reports of more hostage bodies which were recovered as well. Of course, there is anger among the people, families which are waiting for hostages. Do you think we will see any sort of a change in Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's strategy when it comes to the war with Hamas?
Well, I think that the only change that his supporters are hoping for is that he will enter Rafah quickly and swiftly and stop hesitating and stop allowing the Biden administration to tie his hands.
All right. Well, Ms. Bloom, thank you so much for joining us on WION World as One with your insights on this.
Thank you for having me.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.